Welcome to this month's Connection Point. I'm very excited today to have someone from AILA National, Ms. Grace Woods. I'm going to let Grace introduce herself and what she does at AILA National. Hi, Grace.
Hey, Alan, how are you? Good to see you. My name's Grace Woods. I'm AILA's Chief Operating Officer. And what that means in practical terms is I really focus on AILA's business strategy, how we can maximize our members' needs by connecting those resources and ensuring that the association is primed for the future. So on a daily basis, I'm working with our publications team, our education team, our marketing team, to make sure that we're always keeping our fingers on the pulse of what members need and creating those resources to serve them better.
And the great thing is that you're not new to AILA. You've been around AILA for a long time. I first met you doing conferences. And so how many years do you have at AILA currently?
I hate to say because it dates me, but I've been at AILA for 15 years. And I have basically, worked my way up from conferences, working on conference programs and seminars. And it really was a good foundation because I was able to work with members really closely, understand the challenges that members had and the types of topics and content that they needed to be able to be effective in their practice. So I felt like it was a really great training ground, just working on the annual conference and the conferences and, learning about the substantive issues that really impact our members the most. There's really thorny issues every year that everyone's going to deal with. It's kind of evergreen that you want to make sure that we have topics and resources to address. But then there's new things that are constantly happening. And so to be able to work with our government relations team and just listening to members to understand their pain points, has been really helpful to me to be able to then say, okay, team, these are the resources that we need. That's really been, helpful. And I think just understanding how resources connect to serve the members is really, what's made my career successful at AILA.
Well, that's sort of great because that's the reason why we're here today is to sort of talk about some of those new resources. As you know, XCOM has sort of made a around the world meeting with all of the local chapters as possible. We've also been some conferences, and what we're hearing a lot about is backlogs. And, what is AILA doing about backlogs? And I continually tell everybody we're not the government. We don't fix those problems. What we do is try to inform you of the best way to help your client maneuver those backlogs and concerns. And we see a lot of stuff happening in business. It's always in the news, some stuff about family. Rarely is anyone really talking about naturalization unless they're sort of celebrating a big ceremony that sort of happened. So what resources do we have coming up for our members to sort of look forward to?
Well, first and foremost, we have the annual conference that's coming up this June. That's our largest event of the year that, I always kind of recommend to people, if you haven't had a chance to check out the annual conference, do that. We have it in person and virtual. And we've done it that way. Obviously, the pandemic was a great training ground for us to learn about offering the format in different ways. But through our member survey, we've really started to understand members' needs and being able to afford the time out of the office, planes, just being away from clients, it's hard for a lot of members. And so they really wanted a webcast option. So this year we were able to offer that as well. So people can participate virtually or in person. And, we will have over 100 sessions that will cover everything. So from our hot topics to the, backlogs, we're going to address it all, to our government open forums where they're really going to get into the weeds about, how things are being administered at the agencies. So that is my number one go-to that I always point people to. The annual conference is probably the best value for your education. Also, Kurzman, again, is a resource that everybody, just really needs to take advantage of because that is going to be your first core thing that you're going to turn to whenever you have an issue. But in terms of, family practitioners, that's really been our focus this year, doing some needs assessment and looking at the member surveys. We realize we have a real opportunity there to support that segment that might not always have resources geared towards them. We have created a new marriage-based online course, which launched earlier this year. That's a self-paced course that practitioners can kind of do on their own time, as they have availability. And then finally, the biggest thing that I think is going to make a difference for our family practitioners in particular is we're going to launch a family section. We had noticed in previous years that our business practitioners and removal practitioners really benefited from having a section, and we realized we needed one for family too. So we plan to launch that this year, and we hope that listserv where people can ask their case-specific questions to other practitioners and get timely assistance, I think will be a real benefit to our members.
Yeah, so as my time as president, what I found to be most empowering about AILA is community. And that's about reaching out to get the questions answered either through the message center or now through this great sort of section, which we are modeling after the other sections that we've created. Because with 16,000 members, everybody needs to have a connection or interplay to sort of touch in immigration. And I think that's super important. You spoke about the conference and how many just tracks there are, and that there is in fact a family track and a naturalization track at the annual conference. And I believe this is absolutely true. If you buy the conference, if you're not able to go to all the sessions, you still get to participate in learning those at some other time. Is that correct?
Yeah, we offer the conference recordings, and a lot of people take advantage of those. Again, we have the annual conference, which has an entire track dedicated to those issues. And we made a concerted effort to ensure that every conference has sessions dedicated to family issues, so that their questions are being answered on a practical basis by fellow practitioners. And if you're the type of practitioner that says, I don't want to sit down and listen to 10 hours worth of content, there's a great resource that's available to every member benefit or seminar recordings. We now offer them all for free. So we have, a ton of topics that cover every issue, business, family removal. If you want to ask a question live, you can register for the live event. But if not, you have that learning library at your fingertips where you can, pull up a family-based topic and listen to that for free. I think that's a great resource that not everyone is quite aware of yet. And so I definitely want to make sure that our members know that that's available to them as well.
Well, two of the things that I want to bring up that I think are interesting to me is that I credit you with founding AILA University, which is a great training place for a lot of practitioners to see other areas of immigration or to sometimes answer or get introductions to their own practice a little bit solid or stay more fundamental, that it's included in the member benefit. I hear a lot about people who didn't know that exists and the different courses that are available there. So glad to hear that the marriage course is being added to that portfolio where people can sort of move through in such a delightful way. And also the PSAs. I think one of the things that AILA National has really been interested in for the last 2 years is really speaking to the members and having them stuff ready to go to their clients, so that a lot of the solo practitioners that are within AILA aren't reproducing very standard documents to say what's going on with this or what's going on with that. And to my knowledge, I think there are about 24 PSAs, which are public service announcements, that are ready on the AILA.org website that a person can print down about backlogs, naturalization, different things about how to know when your party dates work, that you just put your card on it and then provide to your client, or you lift information and add it to your website.
I definitely think we're going to continue to expand those client flyers.
That's great. I think that's super important. As we think about sort of moving towards the future, are there any things that AILA that you've thought about that might be interesting for the AILA members to sort of hear now that we might get excited about?
That's coming down in the future. Yeah, that's a great question. I mean, really what we want to do and focus our time and energy on is making our information more accessible to our members. And right now we're going through a huge overhaul of our AILA.org website, and we're doing a redesign, and we're going through to understand how we can make searching for the information that you need much easier. And our goal is you shouldn't have to do 15 clicks to find what you're looking for. You should do it in 2 to 3 clicks. It should be intuitive and it should be accessible. So we've really invested a lot of time in research to be able to make AILA.org the tool that it needs to be for all members. And so that's something that we're working on this year. Members should start seeing the fruits of that next year with our big launch. You probably have seen snippets of it with our Agora launch. Agora is our online store. That's kind of the look and feel of what AILA.org will be, but we really are basing our research on, we're talking to members, we're going to do a focus group of search groups to be able to better understand how users need to search, what are their pain points with AILA. We are using an outside group that has worked with very, very large legal database providers to be able to understand how we can bring up our search to really meet the users where they are. They want to be able to search like they do on Google, and we understand that. So I think that's a really exciting opportunity right down the line that's really going to impact all of our members.
Well, that is super exciting, Grace. And as you know, when we talked about it before, you almost got a standing ovation from everybody who was in leadership saying, wow, this is what's really needed to sort of augment all the information that we have, is the ability to actually access that information, which sort of speaks again to the annual conference, because there's so much information that's provided at the annual conference with AILA docs, different services, different member benefits, as well as the community. And as an added point, it's our 75th anniversary. So it's a time to sort of revel in why AILA exists and what we mean as a community to immigrants and to ourselves as we provide and fight for a just immigrant system. So I would like to thank you very much, Grace, for joining me today to help explain exactly what you do and how you're helping to reach members and the benefits that a lot of our members are looking forward to having very soon online. So thank you for joining us.
Thanks, Alan.